Notifications are an essential component of many apps. Local notifications in particular have many use cases, though most commonly they're used to create scheduled reminders. There is an endless variety of apps you can make with this as a core or an additional feature. Notifications are platform specific and require us to tap into native code to create them. Fortunately, we don't have to become native developers to implement them into Flutter apps. Thanks to the powerful Awesome Notifications plugin, we can create notifications for iOS and Android with minimal effort. Hello everyone, my name is Ashley and welcome to ResoCoder. Our goal here is to provide top-level education and teach you the skills needed to become an in-demand Flutter developer. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss a single video. Let's get started! In this tutorial, we're going to build a mock plant care app. The app will be able to display two types of notifications with various levels of customization. Notifications look and function somewhat differently on iOS and Android, and we'll cover all the differences for both platforms in this tutorial. Let's take a look at how our app functions on an iPhone simulator first. When we run the app, we're greeted with an alert dialog asking the user for their permission to let our app send notifications to the device. When we tap Allow, we get a native dialog from iOS asking for the same thing. When we tap Allow Now, notifications will be enabled. We can create an instant notification by tapping the plant food button. When we open the notification, we can see it has a large image of a map, a title with some emojis, and some body text. We can open or clear this notification. If we exit the app and take a look at the launcher icon, we can see a badge telling us that we have one unread notification. If we open the notification, first we're taken to the second page in our app that shows some mock plant statistics. Now that we opened this notification, we can go back to the launcher icon and see that the badge has disappeared. Now let's go back to the app. We can also create a scheduled notification that repeats every week at a specified time. When we tap on the water button, we're going to see a picker that shows up for us to select a day of the week. Because I want the notification to show up now, I'm going to select the current day of the week. Then we get a time picker, and the time picker is set to display the current time plus 1 minute. This is mainly for testing, so we see the notification on the next minute. This scheduled notification also has a custom sound. And there you go, it shows up at the scheduled time. When we open this notification, we can see it has a title, some body text, and also an action button. When we tap on it, we're taken to the second page in our app as well. Now that we created a scheduled notification, it is set to repeat every week. To cancel all created schedules, we can tap on the cancel button. When we run the app on an Android device, we won't see the dialog that we saw on iOS. And that is because on Android, notifications are allowed by default. Let's go to the app notification settings. Here, we can see that the notifications are enabled and we have two notification channels. Let's disable them and let's close our app and run it again. Now, when we run the app, we are going to see the dialog. And when we tap Allow, we're going to be taken to the notification settings where we can enable them and then go back to our app. Here, we can create all the same notifications as we can on iOS. Let's create the plant food one. And here we have all the same stuff, a title, some body text, and the large image of a map. And we also have a custom notification icon. If we go and take a look at the app launcher icon, we're going to see this Android specific badge. And if we long press on the icon, we're going to see more details about the notification. If we dismiss this notification, or even if we open it, the badge will disappear. Same as before, we can create a scheduled notification. And this notification will also have a custom sound. And there it is. This notification has a title, a body, and this is the action button on Android here. And there is one difference though from iOS, and that is that we cannot dismiss this notification. So if we swipe at it, it won't actually disappear. To make it go away, we have to either tap on the notification to open it or hit this action button. So let's do that. And we're taken to the plan stats page, and the notification is now gone. And same as before, we can cancel our schedules by tapping this cancel button. And be sure to check out the written tutorial from the link in the description, where you can find all the code written in this video and go through this lesson at your own pace. We're going to be working with a starter project. So before we start coding, let's get familiar with it. Our starter app is going to have this home page over here with an image, these buttons, which we're going to set up functionality for in the tutorial, an app bar with the title, and this button over here. When we tap this button, it takes us to the second page of our app, which shows some mock plant statistics. It has a title, the image, same as in the home page, and these mock plant statistics here. And we can go back to the home page. So let's see how this all looks in our code now. In the main.dart file, we've got an app widget, which returns a material app with some theme styling, a title, and it's got the home page in the home parameter. The home page has a scaffold, an app bar with the title widget, which displays this title over here. It's got an action button, which is this one over here. And the body has a centered column with this image, a size box for spacing, and a widget that displays all of these buttons over here. These onPress parameters we're going to implement during the tutorial. Now our plan stats page, which is this one over here, we're not actually going to be working with this file at all. It's just meant to display all of the UI that's here. Then we've got this widgets.dart file, which has all of these widgets that we use here, like the page, the plan stats, the title and the app bar, these buttons. And you can go through this to see how these widgets are created, but again, we're not going to be working with this file either. Then lastly, we've got this utilities.dart file, and here we've got some helpful functions that we're going to be using to create our notifications. The create unique ID creates a unique ID. The pick schedule function will actually bring up that weekday picker and also the time picker, and it's going to return a notification week and time object. This object is going to be created using our custom class, which is going to hold the day of the week, represented by an integer, and also the time of day object, which we're going to get from the time picker. So our starter project has several dependencies and also assets, some of which are already used in the starter project and others we will be using later on in the tutorial. So let's take a look at them now. So in our pubspec.yaml, we've got the font awesome Flutter dependency, which we're using to have some specific icons in our app, and they're already implemented, so you don't have to worry about that. And we've also got this Flutter launcher icon dependency and the customizations for it here. And this essentially creates our app icons. So you can see there's this app icon right here and this one right here. So this package takes care of that for us. Then when we go to our assets folder, we've got some images here. For example, this image right here, we're going to use it when we're creating our notifications, and the other images here are used for things like app icons or the UI. Then on Android, we're going to have a custom notification icon, and that icon is located in Android, App, Source, Main, Res, and the drawable folder, and it is right here. And we also have a custom sound file, which is also located in the Res folder, and inside this raw folder. Let's open this up a little. So this res custom notification.m4a is our custom notification sound that's going to be played on Android devices. And if you notice, these assets here and the icon right here, they're prefixed with res underscore and then the name of the file. And this will actually protect your files from being minified on Android. So make sure to add this prefix if you're adding these native dependencies or native assets, I should say. Okay, now let's see what we've got in our iOS folder. Go to iOS, runner, and here we've got the same notification sound, but in an AIFF format, and it's going to be here in this runner folder. And then we've also got this assets.xca assets, and that's going to be where all of the icons are stored. If you get an error when you run your starter project on an iOS simulator, and if the error says that this file right here, the custom notification sound file, does not exist, there is one thing you can do to quickly resolve this. So to do that, go to the project folder, the iOS folder, and open this runner.xcode proj file out in Xcode. Now, when you open this up in Xcode, if this is the right error, this sound file name should be displayed in red. So if that's the case, go back to the project folder, go inside runner, and copy this sound file out somewhere else to your desktop, for example. Then go back to Xcode, delete the file that's displayed in red, and then take the file you copied to your desktop or wherever and just drag it back into Xcode into the runner folder. And that should resolve your issue. All right, so let's finally start coding. First, we want to add the awesome notifications plugin as a dependency. So let's go to our pubspec.yaml file, and we can add it right below the font awesome dependency we have here. It's going to be awesome notifications, and we're going to be using version 0.0.6 plus 10, and save that. Now be mindful, this plugin is in active development, and they're even aiming to eventually have support for desktop and the web. So just keep that in mind because there may be potential breaking changes with future updates. Now let's move on to our main.dart file. And before we can create any notifications, we need to initialize the plugin. We're gonna do that in our main function. So let's convert this to a block body, and we can initialize it right above the run app. So let's say awesome notifications dot initialize, and let's import the plugin. Now the initialize method wants us to pass in two positional parameters. One is the path to the default icon, which will be displayed in the Android notifications, and the other one is a list of notification channels. Let's take care of the icon first. Our icon is located in the native resources, so we're going to provide the path for it in the following way. We're going to type resource : drawable /res_notification_app_icon. For Android, only very simple PNG formats are supported for the notification icons, so you do have to create them in a special way. For this project, we actually used an Android icon generator, and to see the one we used, you can check out the written tutorial, which you can find the link for in the description. So let's talk a little bit about notification channels. You can create multiple notification channels for your app and then assign them to different notifications. Then those notifications will be displayed through the channel you assign it to. Officially, notification channel separation became a thing with the release of Android Oreo as a way to declutter the notification drawer. If you remember, when we looked at our finished app, you could actually go to the Android notification settings for the specific app and see the separation of the channels. And you can see them in this image here as well. So you've got the scheduled notifications channel, the basic notifications channel, and then you can enable or disable the notifications for the specific channel, As well, when you tap on it, you can change some of the settings for those notifications. Now on iOS, there is actually no channel separation. So if you look over at this image right here, you can see there's no channel mention at all. And that's why you won't have these options. When you create a notification channel, you can configure it with settings for the channel itself, as well as the notifications that will be displayed through it. So for example, you can have custom sounds for the notifications, and you can also have the channel name for the channel itself. So with iOS, even though you don't have the channel separation, the customizations you set on that channel will still take effect when a notification is displayed on an iOS device through that channel. To give you a bit of an example, let's say you created a channel for reminder notifications. And on that channel, you wanted to have a custom sound. When a notification is displayed through that channel on an iOS device, the sound will still play, even though you don't have that separation in the settings. And if this doesn't quite make sense right now, don't worry about it. When we create notifications, it should make a lot more sense. So let's go ahead and create our first notification channel. First, we're going to add a list to the second positional parameter of the initialize method. And here we're going to add a notification channel object. This object has a lot of parameters you can specify values for, and we won't get to all of them, but we'll get to quite a few of the common ones. So keep in mind also that not every single configuration will work on every platform or device. For example, you see you've got this LED color, so which you can specify to display a specific color on a device LED when a notification is displayed through this channel, but not every device has an LED to do this. So just keep things like this in mind. For our channel, we're going to specify a channel key of basic_channel, and we're going to be using this key to assign this channel to different notifications. Then we're going to specify a channel name, which is going to be basic notifications. And this is the name that will be displayed in the Android notification settings. We're also going to specify a default color of colors.teal, and this will be responsible to assigning this color to the Android notification icon we set here. Now, when our notifications are displayed, we want them to actually show up on screen. And on iOS, that is a default behavior, but on Android, it's not. So for our notifications to show up on screen when we're on Android, we need to specify the importance of our notifications. So let's say importance and notification importance dot high. And that will ensure that this happens. So you can set different levels of importance depending on how you want your notification to be displayed on Android. And you can check out the plugin documentation to see how each one behaves. For this channel, we also want to make sure when we have notifications, a badge is displayed on the app icon. So to do that, we're going to set channel show badge to true. Awesome. Now we've got our first notification channel all set up, but before we create any notifications, we're going to set up the functionality that can ask our user for permission to send them notifications. To implement the notification permission functionality, let's move on over to the homepage.dart file. We're going to add this logic inside the init state of the homepage state right above the build method. So let's do that. Init state, delete this generated text. And here we're going to say awesome notifications dot is notification allowed. And let's import the plugin. So what this method is going to do, it's going to go check if the notifications for our app are allowed on a particular device, and then return a future bool with the result. So we want to be able to do something with this result, so we're going to use .then. And we're going to rename this value to isAllowed. Now here, we're going to check to see if this result is false. So if isAllowed is false, then we want to show dialog. And here you just leave the context as is. And for the builder function, we're going to have the context. And we're going to return an alert dialog. Let's add the semicolon and do the formatting. So our alert dialog will have a title, which will be a text widget that says allow notifications. It will also have some content text. So we're going to say content and add another text widget that will say our app would like to send you notifications. Our dialog is going to have some buttons as well. One is going to say don't allow and one is going to say allow. The don't allow button will just close the dialog, and the allow button will actually go ahead and ask for permission. So let's add some actions. And this is where our buttons are going to go. So we're going to have a text button. We will set up the onPressed parameter in a bit. And the child will be a simple text widget with text of don't allow. This text will have some custom styling. It's going to have a color of colors.gray and a font size of 18. Now we can set up our onPress functionality. So when we tap this button, we just want to close the dialog. That's it. So we're going to say navigator.pop context. Oops. And that's it. Okay, so now let's implement the button that actually gets the permission we need. So it's going to be another text button. And we'll implement the onPressed in a second. Here it's going to be another text widget. This time it will say allow. And we're going to add a little bit of styling here. The color this time is going to be of colors.teal, font size of 18, and font weight of bold. Awesome. So now let's take care of this onPressed parameter. So here, we are going to say awesome notifications dot request permission to send notifications. And this method is going to request the user's permission and return a future bool with whatever the result is. We don't really care about the resulting value, but we do want to close the dialog when we get that permission. So we're going to say .then, and we don't need this value, so we can just add an underscore. And now all we need to do is just say navigator.pop, and that's it. Save that and go back, take a look at everything. So now when we tap the allow button, we're going to request the permission to send notifications. And when we get that permission, we're going to close the dialog we just created. Awesome. So let's run the app and see how everything looks. When we run the app on an iOS simulator, we should see our dialog pop right up. And if we hit don't allow, it's just going to close the dialog. If we tap allow, it's going to bring up the native dialog. So we can tap allow, and now notifications are allowed. Awesome. And let's see how this is working on our Android device. Let me close this one. Okay. So here, we don't see a dialog because, like we discussed, the notifications are enabled by default on Android. But let's go check out our notification settings. When we go to the notification settings of our app, we can not only see that the notifications are enabled, but we can also see that the basic channel we created is already here. So awesome, it's great to know everything we've done so far is working. And if you want, you can test out the dialog here by disabling this and then restarting the app. But we're not gonna do that right now. You can go ahead and do that though. Okay, awesome. So we've done this part. Now it's finally time to create our first notification. The first notification we're going to create will be assigned to the basic channel. And that's the one we created earlier in this main.dart file. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new file called notifications.dart. And here we're going to create some functions that will be responsible for creating our notifications. And this is mainly to declutter this homepage.dart file. So the first function is going to return future void, and we're going to call it create plant food notification. It's going to be an async function. And here we're going to await awesome notifications dot create notification. And let's import the plugin. This create notification method has a content parameter to which we need to provide a notification content object. This notification content object is going to hold all kinds of information regarding the notification we want to create. First thing we're going to add here is an ID. And this will be basically the ID for the notification we create. So if you want to display multiple notifications of the same type, you want to make sure that this ID is unique. If instead you set it to a hard-coded number, let's say 4, and you tap this button, no matter how many times you tap it, only one notification will be displayed. But instead, if this ID is unique, every time you tap this button, a new notification will pop up. So to make sure that this is going to be a unique ID, we're going to use a function inside our utilities.dart file called createUniqueID. So let's call it from here now, createUniqueID, and make sure you import the utilities.dart file here. Next, we need to provide a channel key. And this channel key needs to correspond to the channel key we've specified for our channel. So for this notification, it's going to be basic_channel. Then we also want our notification to have a title. And we want this title to have some emojis. Awesome Notifications plugin has a handy class called emojis that you can use to add some emojis to your text very easily. So let's use string interpolation to do just that. So we're going to say emojis dot money underscore bag. And we're going to add one more emoji here. So emojis dot plant underscore cactus. And then add some text following these emojis. Buy plant food, ! Amazing. We also want this notification to have some body text. And our body text is going to say, florist at 123 Main Street has 2 in stock. Now, we also want this notification to display a large picture with it. And to do that, we can specify an image path to the big picture parameter. You can provide images from a various number of sources here, but depending on which source you're using, you need to make sure you specify the path correctly. So we are going to be using an image from our assets folder. So we're going to say assets, //assets/notification underscore map.png. And you can check out the documentation for this plugin to see how you can specify paths for different sources. Now we want to make sure that this image is displayed correctly. In order to do that, we need to provide a specific notification layout using notification layout parameter. And here we can specify notification layout dot big picture. And as you can see, you've got options from several layouts. And again, you can check out the documentation for different layouts as well. So we're going to use big picture. Okay. Now we've got everything we need set up to display this notification. And just one more thing I should note, if you are using these emojis, as per the documentation, not all of them work, so you have to make sure you test them before you make anything production grade. So now we can actually go ahead and add this function into our homepage.dart file. We gotta go down to where we have our buttons here, the homepage buttons widget. And we can provide it to the onPressed1 parameter since we want to assign it to the very first button. So let's do just that. Let's delete this empty function and add here create plant food notification. And we don't need the parentheses. Awesome. So let's give this a save and let's reload our app. First, let's take a look and see how this looks on an iOS device. So let's go here and tap this button, and there you go. If you've done everything correctly up until this point, you should see this notification pop right up, and it's got the big picture, the title with our emojis, and the body text. Amazing. We can leave that here for now. So now let's take a look and see how this looks on Android. So let's go ahead and tap this button. And there you go, our notifications shows up here as well. And we've got the big picture, title, body text, and also the custom icon we specified in our main.dart file, this one right here, shows up as well, and in the color we specified, as you can see. Now, let's go and take a look at the app icon. And as you can see here, we've actually got this little badge here. And when we tap here, we can, or when we long press here, we can see the details of this notification as well. So awesome, the badge specification is working as well. And let's check it out on iOS also. So let's bring up the iOS emulator. We can minimize this one. And let's go see the app icon. And as you can see, we've displayed one notification, and so we have our badge here that says we've got one notification. Because of the way these badges work in iOS, they're set globally. If we open or clear this notification now, the badge will actually stay at 1. So we need to implement manual functionality in order to be able to decrement this badge number. And that is part of what we're going to do next. But before we move on, there's just one more thing I wanted to mention. Let's go back to our notifications.dart file. And here, if we take a look at the notification content object, it looks like the ID and the channel key are optional, but they're really not. Because if you don't specify an ID and a channel key, the notification won't actually be created. Furthermore, if you don't specify at least a title or a body, the notification will be created, but it won't actually be displayed. So make sure you keep that in mind when creating your notifications. Next, we're going to take a look at notification streams. When using the Awesome Notifications plugin, you can listen to several notification streams. In this project, we're only going to be listening to just a couple of the streams, but we're going to get familiarized with all of them. So first, let's go back to our homepage.dart file and scroll up to our init state right below the alert dialog setup. Now, in order to listen to a stream, all you have to do is say awesome notifications dot, and then I'm going to type in stream just so we can see all of the suggestions here. So you've got 4 streams you could listen to. You've got the action stream. So if you've got your notification and if you open it, or if you have an action button here and you tap on that, that will be considered an action and some information will come through the action stream. The created stream fires off anytime you press this button, for example, and a notification is created. The dismiss stream will get some data anytime you dismiss a notification, and the displayed stream will get some data anytime a notification is displayed. It is important to note that these streams will fire at different times depending on the state of your app, as well as the platform your app is running on. To get more information on this, you can take a look at the plugin documentation, and you can also take a look at the written tutorial where you'll have a direct link to that spot in the documentation that talks about this. Okay, so let's listen to our first stream. The first stream we're going to listen to is going to be the created stream. So let's say created stream, and here we're going to want to listen to it. This event that we receive for the created stream is of type received notification. And it's going to basically hold all kinds of information regarding the notification that's created. Let's add a semicolon here. And now here we can specify what we want to happen anytime we receive some information here. Let's change the name of this event to notification. And now what we want to happen anytime we create a notification, we want to see a snack bar that tells us which channel the notification was created on. So let's do just that. We're going to say scaffold messenger dot of context. And we're going to say show snack bar. And inside there, we're going to create the snack bar. So snack bar. And our snack bar is going to have some content, which is going to be just a simple text widget. Okay. And the text is going to say notification created on. And now we want to be able to get the notification channel dynamically, so we can access that through this notification, receive notification object here. So let's use string interpolation to do just that and say notification dot, and we're going to get the channel key. Now let's save this and make sure you hot reload your app. Now we can go ahead and tap on this button again, and you should see the snack bar here with the basic channel displayed. Awesome. This is also going to come in handy when we're creating scheduled notifications using this button, because there's going to be a little bit of wait time between when we tap this button and the notification is displayed. So when we see the snack bar, we don't have to worry and we'll know that the notification was actually created. All right. Next, we're going to listen to the action stream. We're going to use the action stream to be routed to the second page in our app whenever an action is taken on a notification. We will also set up the decrementing functionality for the iOS badges. But first, let's take care of the routing. So we're going to listen to the action stream below the created stream. So awesome notifications. This time we're going to say action stream dot listen. Now, one thing I'm going to point out is here, the data that comes through the action stream is not the same as the data coming through the created stream. Here we get a received action object versus in the created stream we get a received notification object. The received action object holds all the same information that the received notification object does, but it also holds some additional information about the action taken. For example, you can find out when the action on the notification was taken. Okay, let's now go ahead and continue. So in order to be routed to the other page in our app, we're going to say navigator dot push and remove until, and we're going to leave context here. It's going to be a material page route. Oh, 1 second. Material page route. And we're going to have a builder, but first let me format this so it's a little bit nicer. Okay, we're going to say builder, and we're going to get our plan stats page here. Okie doke. And here we're going to say route.is first. Now, we're doing it this way because if we open multiple notifications, we will keep pushing the plan stats page route into the stack, and we'll need to go back multiple times to get to the home page. With this navigation setup, when we open a notification, it will only have the plan stats page and the home page in the stack. Now, let's do something about those iOS badges. On Android, when there are no more active notifications, so when all notifications have been opened or dismissed, the badge automatically disappears. But on iOS, the badge number that is displayed won't decrease or go away unless we specifically tell it to. So let's implement that functionality now. We're going to do it right above the routing. First, we need to check to make sure that the notification we're dealing with is coming from the basic channel. So we're going to say notification, which actually we need to rename this to notification. So we're going to use this object here. So notification dot, and we're going to get the channel key, and we're going to check to make sure it equals to basic channel, since that is the channel that we enabled the badges on. And we also want to make sure that the platform we're on is iOS, since this badge situation is only on iOS. So we're going to use platform. And if you see here, the auto suggestion says auto import from Dart.html. That is not where we're going to import this from. We're going to use Dart.io. So first, let's finish typing this. Platform.is iOS. And now we can import Dart.io. Now, if all of these things are true, we're going to do the following. Awesome notifications dot get global badge counter. And this is going to get the global badge counter for our app in iOS. It's going to return a future int. So we want to be able to do something with this value, so we're going to use dot then. In our case, so far we've created 2 notifications, so this would return 2. So now we want to take this value and then here say awesome notifications dot set global badge counter. So here now we want to take this value and then we want to set a new global badge counter with a value that we get, but also with this value -1. So the decremented value. So we're going to say value -1. So what this is going to do is when we open a notification that comes through the basic channel on an iOS device, the badge counter will be decremented by 1. Now let's give this a save and test this out. So here we've got 2 notifications. So let's see the badge. And here our badge is set to 2. So let's try opening this notification. And if everything is working right. Okay, so it looks like we need to actually hot restart our app for this to work. So let's do just that. So I've restarted the app and let's give this another try. So good, we are taken to the plan stats page now. And well, since we dismissed the previous, there were 2 notifications, we dismissed one of them before we had this functionality implemented. So that's why the badge is still at 1, but we did open the other notification when we already set this functionality up and restarted the app. So it actually did decrement by 1. And we can try this one more time to make sure it really is working. So let's create one more notification. Go back. See, it's back to 2. Now let's open this up again. And it's back to 1. If you want to completely reset this with our current functionality, you can actually go ahead and erase all the contents and settings from this device, and then it's going to reset once you relaunch your app. You can also implement similar functionality for when a notification is cleared. but we're just going to stick to this in this tutorial. So before we move on to creating our next notification, we need to make sure that we dispose of our streams in the dispose method. So this is our init state, and we can add the dispose method below that. So let's override dispose. And here we're going to say awesome notifications dot action, and this time we're not going to say action stream, we're going to say action sync, and we're going to say dot close, and that's going to dispose of our action stream. And then we can also do awesome notifications dot created sync and close that one as well. Awesome. So yeah, just make sure you dispose of your streams when you're listening and creating them. Now let's move on to creating our scheduled notification. So far, we know how to create instant notifications, but this kind of functionality is not going to be super useful in most cases. Realistically, you want to be able to schedule your notifications. So this section is rather exciting. Before we can create the notification itself, we're going to create the notification channel for scheduled notifications. So let's go back to our main.dart file. And here we're going to add another notification channel below the basic channel. So notification channel. And we're going to give it a channel key of scheduled channel, a channel name of scheduled notifications, and we're also going to give the same default icon color to this icon here. So default color, colors.teal. On Android, we have the option to make notifications non-dismissible. That means that we cannot just swipe the notification away and must take an action on it for it to disappear. To do this, we're going to set the locked parameter to true. We also want the scheduled notifications to pop up on the screen on Android, so let's give this channel a high importance like we did in the basic channel. So we're going to say importance, notification importance dot high. Lastly, we want our scheduled notifications to play a custom sound when they're displayed. To do this, we need to specify the sound source. In the beginning of this tutorial, we went over where all of the sound files for iOS and Android were located. So make sure you store your custom files in the same locations for this to work. It is also important to note that Android and iOS support different file formats for notification sounds. Android supports a wide variety, while iOS only supports a few. So in this project, we're using M4A for Android and AIFF for iOS. So we're going to specify the sound source in the following way. It's going to be resource, / raw res _custom _ notification. Amazing. Now our scheduled notifications channel is all set up, and we can finally go ahead and create the notification itself. Now let's go back to the notifications.dart file and create another async function that returns a future void. We can add it below the function we already have here. So it's going to return future void, and we're going to call it create water reminder notification. And it's going to be async. This function is also going to require us to pass in a notification week and time object, and we're going to call this parameter notification schedule. This is the object we're going to get back when we go through the weekday and time picker, and it will give us all of that information that we need to be able to schedule our notifications the way we want. First, let's create the notification in a similar way we did over here in this function. So let's await awesome notifications dot create notification. Let's add a semicolon. And here we're also going to add notification content. And here we're going to give it a unique ID. Create unique ID. We're going to specify the channel key here, and it's going to be the channel key we just created. So scheduled channel. And we're going to give it a title. We're going to add an emoji of a water droplet here. So the emojis class from Awesome Notifications sometimes has incorrect spelling of the emojis. So you'll see that here right now. So instead of water droplet, it's called weeder droplet, but it's going to work. And add some text, add some water to your plant. We're also going to add some body text saying water your plant regularly to keep it healthy. And let's delete that extra space. And I missed the comma here. All right. And we're going to give it a notification layout of default. So notification layout dot default. So it's just going to be a regular notification. So far, so good, but we still need to set up the scheduling. So this create notification method has some additional parameters we haven't looked at yet. The ones we're going to use will be action buttons and schedule. So first, let's add an action button to this notification, and we're going to provide a list. And to this list, we're going to add a notification action button. And here we're going to specify a key of mark done and a label that also says mark done, but in the following way. Let's save and format this. The key can be used to identify the button, for example, inside an action stream, and you can then do something when the specific button is pressed. The label will actually be the text that's displayed in the button itself. So now let's work on the schedule. We want our notification to be displayed every week on a specific day at a specific time. So we're going to provide a notification calendar object to the schedule parameter. And it's going to be after this action buttons one. So schedule and notification calendar. First, we're going to set repeats to true, so that we make sure that this notification repeats. Now, we know that we want to display this reminder on a specific day of the week at a specific hour and minute. So for that, we can use the notification week and time object to pass in the data we need here. So let's do that. Let's say weekday and use our notification schedule variable to access the day of the week. And this takes an integer, and this day of the week is represented by an integer. And then we're going to add the hour we want it displayed on, notification, schedule dot, and we're going to use the time of day, and we're going to get the hour. And then for minute, again, notification schedule, time of day, dot minute. We also absolutely must set the second and millisecond parameters to 0. If we don't set those to 0, then the notification will keep popping up until the minute on the clock changes from the one that we specified. Another way to read this code is, let's read it like this. I want this notification to show up on this day of the week, at this hour, on this minute, only when the second and millisecond is 0. Since in a given minute, the second is at 0 only once, we will only see one notification during the specified minute. If this seems a bit confusing, I encourage you to play around with this and try setting different values for these parameters so you can get a better understanding of it. Now let's go ahead and set up our button for this notification. Let's go back to the homepage.dart file and head over to our homepage buttons over here. So here for the second button, we need to do two things. We need to display the weekday and time picker to get the notification week and time object, and then pass this object to our create water reminder notification function. So let's do just that. We can do that inside this body over here. And we're going to create a variable that's going to store the notification week and time object, notification week and time, and let's import that. And it's going to be nullable because the user could do things like close the time picker, and then in that case, we're going to end up with a null value. So let's call it picked schedule. And it's going to equal to await pick schedule. And this is the function. One second, let's format this. This pick schedule function is the one that's located inside the utilities.dart file. And you can take a look to see how it's created, but it essentially just brings up the weekday picker, the time picker, and then returns this object. Let's go back. So now that we've got this variable and its result from this function, we want to check to see if this variable is not null. So we're going to say if picked schedule does not equal null, then we want to call create water reminder notification, and here we want to pass in the picked schedule. Awesome. So before we test this out, let's create a function that will be triggered by our cancel button over here, and it's going to be able to cancel any schedules that we create. We're going to create this function inside our notifications.dart file, just below this create water reminder function. And this one's going to be incredibly simple. It's going to return future void. We're going to call it cancel scheduled notifications. It's going to be async. And all we're going to do here is await awesome notifications dot cancel all schedules. And that's it. When we run this function, it's going to cancel any schedules we have created. So in our case, this is mostly useful for testing, so we can create a bunch of schedules, play around with the app, and then cancel them all to reset it. But in real life, you will also want to give your users the ability to cancel any scheduled notifications they create. So you can create a modified functionality similar to this in your real life app. Now let's go back to the home page and add this function to this third onPressed parameter. So cancel scheduled notifications, and there we go. Excellent. Now let's hot restart our app and test it out on both platforms. So first, let's take a look at how our scheduled notifications function on an iOS device. So when we tap this button now, and here, if you want to test this out, just choose your current day of the week. For me, it's Tuesday. And if you remember, we discussed this before. This time picker shows the current time plus 1 minute. So in my case, it's already 8:30, so I'm going to have to add 1 more minute to this. And then you can hit OK. Just make sure this time you select is in the future and not too far in the future if you don't want to wait too long for the notification to show up, and let's tap OK. Now we can see with the snack bar that a notification was created on the schedule channel. So amazing, we know the notification is created. So now we can just wait and see when it shows up. Amazing, there it is. And you can hear the custom notification sound is playing as well. When we open this notification, the title, the emoji, the body text, everything's there, as well as this action button. And this is how it looks on iOS. So when we tap this action button, we're taken to the plant stats page. And that is because, let's go back to our homepage where we set up the action stream. So here in the action stream, we said anytime an action is taken on a notification, we want to be routed to this page. And so we are. Great. And now we can also tap this button to cancel any future schedules, because once we create this notification, it's going to show up again next week at the same time. Cool. So let's check out the Android version. So now I've got the Android emulator open, and we can do the same thing we did on the iOS device. Tap the water button, choose the current day of the week it is for you, and then choose the time just 1 minute past the current minute. And now let's wait. There you have it. Custom notification sound check. When we open it, we've got the title, body, action button, and well, the notification, custom notification icon is still there as well. And if you remember, when we set up the notification channel for the scheduled notifications, we set the locked parameter to true, meaning that on Android, we can't actually dismiss this notification. If we try to swipe it away, it just won't work. So in order to make this notification go away, we have to take an action on it. So either tap on the notification itself or on the action button. So let's do that. And we're taken to the plant stats page, and then we can go back and you can see the notification is gone. And same as before, we can press this cancel button and our schedules will be canceled. Congratulations! Give yourself a huge pat on the back because you made it through this entire tutorial. Hopefully you learned a lot, and with some practice, you'll be very comfortable at creating local notifications for your Flutter apps. The Awesome Notifications plugin has so many options that we couldn't possibly cover them all in this video. I do strongly encourage you to go and play around with as many options as possible on your own. To go through this tutorial at your own pace once again, and to get all the code, check out the written tutorial available from the link in the description. And if you are serious about becoming a great Flutter developer who can build real apps for clients or at a job, go to flutter.education, where you can get the top curated Flutter news and resources aimed at improving your app development career. Over there, you can also subscribe to the mailing list to get the best Flutter resources delivered weekly right into your inbox. And if you don't want to miss more tutorials like this, be sure to subscribe to this channel and also join the notification squad by hitting the bell button to make sure you grow your Flutter skills, because here at ResoCoder, we're determined to provide you with the best tutorials and resources so that you will become an in-demand Flutter developer. See you in the next one!